This has to be made very clear for Dasan as well as Donald, especially Floridian Rollo, by his alias. You need to stop touching his anointed. Those who are seated in Jesus are far above Satan, principalities, world rulers, powers of the darkness, masteries, and all the ranks of the kingdom of darkness, and especially over peons, peanuts, numbers, and stains in the carpet like you. Since you're not in him, you're mere mortal material men, just like those whom you accuse of, such as Charles L. Jr., and especially New Breed. And you teach others likewise of your evil doings, convincing them to the plan of the devil, making them think that the ways of the devil is to the means of happiness when it's only short and temporary. Though you mock Charles L. Jr. and point out his wickedness, even your time for appointed judgment, a divine judgment upon each one of you, draws near, and it does not slumber either. And still, you think by your ignorance, your folly, and your empty speech that you will acquire and obtain to the ideal happiness, even though you side with those who diminish and take away from the happiness of others that is given unto them from the Father. And still, you believe that in your own doings, your own right, do you have power, authority, and strength in of yourself? When you come from the dust, and the dust you return, and especially you not being in him, and you desire the ways of evil, doing evil unto others to satisfy your pleasure, your gain from the devil, and you hide behind pretense that even though you say many things, your heart is far from the Father who's in heaven. And though you quote his word, it has none effect to the matter of truth, nor is it evident in your life to glorify him, but is to point men to you, to glorify yourself, to make yourself a mighty one when you are not. And based on your behavior, you refuse, and you're not going to repent. So as a result, because you do not comprehend, nor understand, neither have the revelation of his word and truth, you are capped in your revelation and to grasp the knowledge of the truth. And as a result, even though you quote all that scripture, all three of you and those who coincide with these ones right here, as well as other wicked ones, you will not be permitted to be in his kingdom. And for sure, because you act like your father the devil, you will certainly join him in torments. Even when you cross over in the spirit world, you will be in torments. And you will be without excuse because you took up his word and quoted it and claimed to be of one of his heirs, even using much words to claim to be born again, and you have been fraudulent in that as well too, and you think you can touch and try to cut off his anointed, those who are in it, grafted in to the body of his son, And you think this will not be required of you? You think because you're deceived by the persuasion of the devil that these things will not be required of you in this present life, and especially when you cross over too, and especially at the resurrection too? You think him who made all does not know what's in the depths of your heart, your mind, your very thoughts, and your intents, even your doings through your whole entire life, and others too? In this whole time, others have been given opportunity to repent, and they refuse to. So when they stand before him, even before the resurrection, they have much things required of them, and they are without excuse, especially those who picked up his word and read from it, where they should have attained and had a conviction and a personal revelation to resolve in themselves their change and their transformation. In this whole time, you have lied, like many times you lie again and again, through your craftiness, your wiles of the devil, in his ways, to consistently blink when you're speaking, because lying is treasured up in your heart, as well as many forms and devices of evil through your secret combinations, that if it was exposed, even at the resurrection, everyone that would listen to you still now, as well as Donald, and especially Floridian Rollo, when they find out who you really are and the truth of it, they would have no longer association with you anymore. In this temporary benefit of your carnal needs exceedingly met, as well as your perceived spiritual desires met as well too, are being received by those whom you are welcomed. However, you are praised and lifted up over others, to be glorified in this world that is passing away in its desires, and only the renewed world of it can be brought forth from the Father Son through his power. And you will mess up because you refused him, and you refused the transformation of his word. And like all other end-time deceivers, even as talked about, there shall be many false prophets, so there shall be many diviners. There shall be many who are covetous, selfish, lovers of themselves, even demanding and desiring worship, praise, and admiration unto themselves, even loving pleasures more than the Father. So whatever seed they would have had in their heart for the Father or place has been far dead, surpassed, and eradicated, eroded by the lust and exceeding desires of this temporary age, even the inventions of the devil, all these technologies, all these lust and desires, and all these perceived happinesses that comes from the devil, that's all been an illusion, a deception, and used for the harm and evil of men, then for their benefit. And those who would have been able to supply such benefits for the benefit of the brothers and sisters in this present age, in this present world, they refused to, but desired their gain for themselves, while at the harm of others, and those who follow the plan of the devil in all things, they do likewise, causing the multitudes to suffer and be expense for their own selfish carnal desires, to glorify themselves, even to glorify the devil in all things. That while they have a form of righteousness, they deny the Father who's in heaven. And though you say the Most High, and though others say the G word pertaining to the Father who's in heaven, it is clearly distinguished by your manner of lifestyle and living who your real Father is. Making it clear to those who are actually born again and those who can perceive, who are without bias and deception, and especially those who have not been persuaded and are able to function in a measure of capacity without bias, to see who is of the children of the King and who is of the children of the adversary, of him who is kicked out because they not only rebelled against the Father, but they also rebelled against his Son, seeking to take his position in the very kingdom itself, whom they refused the Father's plan of proving of who would desire what form of happiness would it be, whether it be to serve others, to be selfish and be served, or to be subservient unto others, and have their desires met that way instead. So in this, you, being selfish, like those who run together with you, and who co-sign in such evil doings, even your secret combinations, and the many things that it should be revealed, even before all at the resurrection, no one afterwards would desire to have any part with you, nor want to have any association, nor part with you anymore. Furthermore, as talked about of these end times, you gather up to yourselves those who desire to be subservient, so that you can use them for your benefit and your gain, to persuade them in their minds, because of their lack of self-autonomy, that you are the Father's ministers, transforming yourself as angels of light, with your many crafts and witchcrafts and wiles that comes from the devil and his ways, the devil's ways, to make many think you are one of the Father's ministers in heaven, when clearly you are contrary and opposed and even violent and aggressive towards those who come from the Father who's in heaven, and especially those who desire the Father who's in heaven, especially his ways, to know the Father for themselves, whether they begin in the physical after the flesh, or they eventually come to seek him through the spiritual first and foremost, so that they seek the kingdom of heaven first, so that all things be added unto them. So in these doings of yours, you treasure up those en masse who desire to be subservient, and you deceive them with your many deceptions and your ways of the devil, to obtain yourself your selfish desire, your present glory that is fitting and has been already given to you from the devil and is expired, passing away. And you, as well as Floridian Rollo, and especially Donald, who goes by the alias Ringo, and others altogether like you, who are confederate in your evil dealings, in your secret combinations, your plots and schemes behind the scenes, and pretending to be righteous in front of the camera on social media. You have in this whole time conspired against those of the Father who's in heaven. And you should have known better in your many teachings from the demons, especially the doctrines of devils, given unto you to deceive the hearts of men, to receive riches, fame, and power among mere mortal material men, that you should have left his anointed alone and busied yourselves with the reward that you have retained from the devil. And still, it's not transparent enough for some, because only in the fulfillment of your absolute judgment in this world, as well as when you cross over into the spirit world and have to stand before the Father who's in heaven, that only is it for sure that the plan of the devil that you have chosen for yourselves has been to your detriment, and only these temporary pleasures and happinesses that you have experienced has all been deceptive and to your own hurt. And especially, it's going to be required of you for causing hurt, harm, trespass, and other forms of evil unto others, especially those who are selfless, who desire to serve like they have learned of from the Father, and especially as demonstrated by his Son, and as well as harm unto others who are subservient unto others, who desire to have their minimal responsibility to enjoy their happiness, and they have to come underneath your oppression, thinking you are one of the Father's servants, when clearly you have not been sent by the Father who's in heaven, but you have decided to do the things of the devil in all things, that you may increase your temporary reward. How many points can you get on the scoreboard? How big can your bank account get? How big, fancy, and flashy can your vehicles, your cars, your clothing, your wealth, your riches, and your status among men can become, before you return back to your rot, back to your dust, and you are filled with brimstone and the worm? And because you are so resolved in your reprobation, like the devil himself, who became resolved in his reprobation, because he wanted to be like the Father in heaven, instead of submitting himself and learning to be taught of the Father, you too rebel like him who was first called Lucifer, but is now called the devil, the adversary, Hasatan. And so in this, because you seal yourselves up in your appointed judgments, no matter of mere material men, neither the power of the arm of flesh, neither the kingdom of darkness, not even the devil himself, can guarantee your immortality, your happiness, and what he has promised unto you, that you would believe you would attain by following the plan of the devil in all things. And so in this, in your desperation, you try everything. That's right, everything you can possible. Even in this right here. In this video right here, you have made it known that not only do you get paid underneath the table, behind the scenes, by those whom you are confederate with in serving the devil in all things, including distracting men, deceiving men, leading them away from salvation, as well as the true good news of the scriptures and his teachings. But you also teach them and persuade them to be confederate in your wickedness, and persecuting others, judging others in wickedness, as well as to get them to see you for as good when clearly you are being evil. So in this, you have made it clear that in your gains and your desires, not only have you been getting things of this world, such as flashy cars, as well as money to go spend luxuriously on fast food that those who know contains potential human flesh in that grunted meat, as well as other products that contain what is known as cinnamix. There's other forms of human flesh, of consuming of human flesh, cannibalism.
I could not get into my Instagram account because I was trying to attempt the transfer process. And the transfer process didn't work. I had Instagram on my other phone. Yeah, Danielle know what it is. Look, she got...
Yeah, this new flip phone of yours here, a regular, quote-unquote, school crossing guard who roams around campus to check on the so-called safety on the children, makes that kind of money to simply go out there and go buy
7
or finance flashy vehicles, flashy smartphones that are up to $2,000 each, roughly speaking. And especially to go out there, buy fast food, pay mortgage or rent, and other means, even if you live in the South. There is no excuse to say that you are legitimate when you are being paid underneath the table, behind the scenes, by someone else who's encouraging and funding your lifestyle to do the will of the devil in all things, to try to deceive and lead as many men as possible into this common condemnation that you are a part of. And because you have gone this far to decide to cut off the Father's anointed, those who are grafted into his Son, you are trusting for yourself a shared judgment that when you do cross over, you will be in torments without excuse. And even at the second life, the resurrection, where those who are going into the kingdom have a resurrection to life, but those who are wicked have a resurrection to shame and condemnation, you are going to be put to shame when everyone sees you for who you really are, before the Father, even his Son, and his angels. And because you also do spiritual warfare against his anointed, not only do you trouble one in the body, and even two, but now you are in opposition against the rest of the body. And those receiving this, even those who, by their different religions, whether it be Hebrew Israelitism or the Hebrew faith of the scriptures, of the faith of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or they be for the denominations of Christianity. Otherwise, from all these spiritual movements, such as those who have come from the Chosen One community, and especially those who come from the different divisions of Freemasonry. They should see you for who you are yourself and realize through the fundamentals of their religions, you do not trespass against others. And especially those among your own religion, even your own creed, you do not trespass against them. And you're supposed to treat others how you would have them to treat you. So you only love those who do good to you, but the rest of your brothers and sisters who are not a part of your inner circle there, you do not love them as you love yourself, but you persecute them and do all manner of evil that you can, including spiritual warfare of using the demons that are in you, as well as those that you call upon to persecute, trouble, and frustrate in all manner of evil and so forth against them, when clearly you have picked up the scriptures and you quote from it, and so you, quoting from it and reading from it, are without excuse to not amend your ways and turn from it. And because of your refusal to do it, you set yourself up deeper into the chains of the devil, into the chains of hell, to bondage, even giving up unto a reprobate mind, a useless mind. All these things because not only do you persecute brothers and sisters who come from the Hebrew community, the Chosen One community, as well as the Christian community, but also the communities of the Freemasons and so forth too, of all these different communities whom, if they were to thoroughly search their doctrines and turn to the scriptures, they would perhaps come to the realization of what the Father Son taught, not only to his disciples, but unto as many as would hear him, whom not only said from having the Spirit, which you, Dasan, Donald, as well as Rello, Floridian Rello, do not have, neither others here who are being exposed do not have the Spirit, but also offend the Spirit. And even, that's right, even if some of you did, you have clearly grieved the Spirit and offended the Spirit, so it no longer resides in you, nor with you. So you testify by your works, your spiritual fruits, your manner of character, who you are of now and have been of, so that even those who have grieved the Spirit and pretend to have the Spirit, pretend to have the abilities to do what the Father Son did in the New Testament, you are that excuse when you are found guilty and even your sins are on your faces and they do testify against you like the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah. Even going so far as to persecute the other gender because of your gains from the devil, and especially that level of being given up over to the devil to be used underneath his power until you're used up and you're thrown away and sealed up completely in your judgment. So in that, you do follow the ways of others who are in the ways of Satanism, even acting effeminate, on such a way that not only do you desire men, those of your own gender, but also you act in the ways of perceived virtuous women, that if you was to be the other gender, you would present yourself as such. But because you are of the male gender, you are a perverse and abominable creature. In the sight of men. Whereas if you knew the goodness of the Father, His salvation and forgiveness, and even His plan of salvation, His ways and His teachings to His children, to the simplicity of it, even what His laws mean, then you would have repented of your evil ways long ago, instead of lying many a times, making all sorts of excuses, justifications, and all sorts of crafty and reckless lies and speech that you do speak. And so in this, you will tell people that you do serve the Father who's in heaven. And also another lie is that you tell people that you're no longer like what you used to be. But still, your actions, your characteristics, your deeds testify what manner of spirit you are of, what manner of person you are of, what type of spiritual fruit you bring forth. And these spiritual fruits that you bring forth are corrupt. And such will be thrown out into such branches that bring forth corrupt fruit, that are not bringing forth good fruit, will be hewn down, separated from the trees, and thrown into the furnace, because they are no longer useful anymore, nor can they be amended to bring forth good fruit. And so you being an example where you desired wealth, gain, the riches of this world, that has a false, fraudulent, and pretense of value placed upon them, when clearly even the structures, the housing, the food and water, and other needs were placed on value by the devil and those who support the will of the devil in all things, causing those who are selfish and doing the will of the devil to obtain and place themselves over brothers and sisters and over men, and having title, position, praises, admiration, and glory among men, even to cause men to worship you instead of the Father. And in this worship of yourselves, cause others to also do abomination to the Father. Not only you sinning against the Father who's in heaven, but causing others to sin against the Father who's in heaven. And still, to boast of your own power, your own fraudulent, faint, finite power, you call upon the arm of flesh, those who are confederate with you, and the plan of the devil, thinking that you will obtain this supposed glory from the devil if you serve him in all things. Where you suppose that you will be serving him continually, So in this, you side with those who, by the arm of flesh and by the power of mere mortal material men, you think you can hide behind not only your many followers who support you in your evil doings and even fund you, by tricking, deceiving them, and doing the will of the devil, but also by hiding behind the supposed power of men, using the so-called people in the legal system to insulate yourself and your criminal activities, and especially increasing your gains by helping others who are likewise doing evil too, such as Donald, who goes by the alias Ringo of Ringo TV Reactions, and especially Floridian Rollo. So if you was to sink into deeper depths, even as Epstein, then you would work together with them to snatch up, kidnap children, then fudge the numbers and cook the books, and lie left and right, put red tape and everything to kidnap children, to violate them, and even go so far as to even cut them off from the land of the living and devour their flesh, like those with Epstein and so forth did on the most severe levels, and get into other forms of trafficking and so forth, and other forms of evil too, but behind the scenes if possible. Were you allowed to do so? To increase your name, your power, and your riches in this evil present world. And because of your present doings, your judgments that's coming upon you and others who are confederate with you, even Donald and Florian Ronald, you do try everything to change up the narrative, to spin it, to make people think you're going a different direction, when clearly you're crashing out. And you're the narcissist. You're the New Ager. You're the warlock and everything else. And you're over there playing games, helping distract people with new breed, and persecuting those that have little to no personal doings, nor none of your business, but you do these things to harass others and do evil because you are following the devil in all things and being used by the demons and those above you in the flesh, in the physical world, to do their will, their agenda, their goals, to appease the devil, to bring sacrifices unto the devil, and cause suffering unto others. So though you hide behind those who use the legal system in their different positions, at some point you become so detestable, such an abomination, that even they cannot extend favor unto you, nor can help you. But at the time comes, at last, you fall just like your mother, Babylon, where not even the devil will help you, not even his children will help you, when they know your time is up and is completely judged. Your measure filled up in your cup to drink, so that when you drink and you see your judgment finally filled upon you and sealed, whoever can see and hear and comprehend and grasp what it means, then they will know for certainty You are not of the virgin daughter that is considered Israel, but you're of your mother Babylon, the mother of harlots, fornicating with the kings of this world to give them their present desires and the benefits, even from the throne of the devil that is known as America, the United States of America. And because you do the will of the devil, even promoting his ways, the ways of the devil, you think you will obtain and deliver yourself many times from the evils that is being raised up against you, of the judgment that is to come to pass and seal you up and take you out of the way, because you are not only following the devil in all things, but you are an irritant, a troubler of mankind, and especially towards those who are in the body of the Father's Son. And so in this, not only do you touch his anointed, but also go so far as to proceed to presumptuously try to cut him off from the land of the living. And not only do you have a controversy with one and even two, but also the rest of those who may hear this and know what it means and what they ought to do, and considering the action to take forward. And especially others who hear and see this and comprehend it too. What this means when you not only trespass against those who believe, but also against the rest of mankind. And so even those whom you considered your brothers and your sisters, eventually they can only get enough of you so much and cast you off from themselves, to cut you off from their flesh, to cut you off from their associations, so that they don't fall with you. And that's the plan, isn't it, huh? From the top down to the peons like you, huh? Like the stains on the carpet. If one of you falls, maybe the rest of you will fall, like a domino effect. So you do everything you can to preserve yourself and preserve one another from being judged, from being incarcerated, from receiving your due recompense in the flesh in this temporary world. Otherwise, it would shame yourself and even shame others who do follow in the plan of the devil in all things. And still, if they desire to preserve themselves like they typically do in the times of old and have done, they will cut you off from themselves, from associating with you, and they will speak bad about you to wipe their hands clean of you, so that when you fall, they can hold themselves not guilty. They can declare themselves innocent of you and buy themselves more time before they too are given up and appointed to be sewed up in judgment. Because of you being like others who are narcissists and full of evil, being given up to a reprobate mind. Even like the scribes and Pharisees in the times of the Father's Son, they were warlocks, like unto warlocks. They abused and oppressed the masses to get gain? And even went so far as to project their sins, their wickedness unto others. So even though you call others hypocrite, even though you say others do witchcraft and whatnot, and even though you call others New Agers, you do of yourself because you're guilty of it. You have a beam in your eye, and you clearly cannot get the mote out of the eyes of others. And you make it clear too that your discreet mishandling of the scriptures, just as the devil did when he tempted the Father's Son by trying to quote scriptures to deceive and make people go with a narrative. But in that situation, he tried to deceive the Father's Son by quoting scriptures, telling him to cast himself off of the mountain or off the top of the temple, and he would be caught by the angels, and the people who would see that miracle happen would receive him with no problem as the Son of the Father. So you, in like ways of the devil, quote scriptures and dress up the situation, trying to whitewash something that is corrupt, defiled, and polluted. To make them think that your wickedness is righteousness, when clearly you are serving the devil by obtaining the things of this world instead of focusing on the spiritual fruit that comes in truth, in righteousness, in devotion unto the Father who's in heaven. So as a result, even though you do lie like your father the devil, and are a murderer like unto him, even going the way of Cain, being jealous of others who are doing the right thing, and using various means to deceive the masses, when clearly that's temporary satisfaction you gain. Cannot fill in the gap that those who do have the Spirit are filled by.
Waves. You know, sometimes you just gotta celebrate some wins. This the top garbage. I don't do neighbors. They hate all the show off. So tell you, I got a neighbor that's right across the street. You know what I'm saying? And you know, she got the new whip. I got the new whip.
Only the wicked prize the things of this world over the things of the Spirit. They will go by any means to enrich themselves fiscally instead of taking care of others, being there of a service unto others in righteousness. And because you serve the wicked so that you can obtain the reward of the wicked, you get up here and you lie to yourself and you lie to others. And what is this? What's wrong with those eyes? Are those demons in the eyes? As long as you can distract and deceive people and cast spells through your smooth words and great and fancy speeches, through your great swelling words of vanity, of emptiness. When you get up there and you run your mouth and you holler and shout, when clearly you're not about that kind of lifestyle, and even acting tough on the internet, when in real life you have to go run and hide behind all the evildoers, so that if someone wants to take you to court, you can go hide behind them for your security, for your deliverance, because the Father in heaven is not with you, so you trust in the arm of the flesh instead of the Father. And because you decide to play a cop, SO2, acting tough like a cop on the internet, abusing your supposed position as a law enforcement officer, the judges who sit in the courts are not supposed to practice law from the bench. Neither are cops supposed to practice law in the courthouse. And especially, they are underneath oath of office from their duties accordingly. Even higher position law enforcements are underneath their obligations that they are supposed to keep and fulfill. Because of your haughtiness, your arrogance, your pridefulness, and your boasting, you think you are secured in the protection of the armor of the flesh, when clearly you are adding to and even accelerating your judgment. Your divine judgment, I'll trust up for you, the wrath according to your wicked doings. Also, in abusing your position and even misusing your title, you go out to deceive others and intimidate others and claim that while you do these things, that you might be seen as one of those who are of the Father who's in heaven, when clearly you have been aiding, abetting, running alongside with, and helping criminals, such as one who is not only Donald Webb, Donald who goes by the alias of Ringo, and also Floridian Ruddle, who are also deviants in their preferences of whom they desire, but also go so far as to seek to violate others. So in this, you support them and you make pretenses and excuses and justifications through your much lies and deception as to why you refuse to do what was required of you in the office and duty that you took up when you was claiming to do what you say that you do. So if you was and you kept it, you would remain in the virtues thereof. And because of your deceiving of others and your deception of yourself to try to cheat, to try to win, and following the ways of the devil, there's much that can be said about you, for sure, of how you carry yourself.
Is there anyone out there who still isn't clear about what doing drugs does? Okay, last time. This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
That also happens to the mind of those who serve the devil in all things, and they give themselves up to more evil plots and schemes and dealings, even going so far as to have their soul broken up into many pieces, the mind broken up into many pieces, to lack the ability and function and capacity, especially being given up unto a reprobate mind, too, especially a seared conscience. It's little to no way possible to function without all those evil spirits influencing and affecting the body and the mind. And because of your desperation to sweep everything underneath the rug and try to evade in your own carnal, sensual, and devilish understanding to try to escape away from judgment, you put up your false humility, your woe is me, oh, I was being this and that and X, Y, and Z and so forth. Even that, and you're while claiming to know the Father who's in heaven, it's very effeminate, disingenuine, and it's fraudulent as well too.
And now it's all about self-esteem. If you have kids, you have to sign paperwork if they play organized sports that says that you'll only yell out encouraging things to promote self-esteem. And not gay, but mas puto, which is really gay. That's puto squared. Mas puto.
So the many things you do, Dasan, not only do you clearly manifest and reveal who you are, what you're about, and especially your end goal, your to-be destiny, that you refuse to repent, and you're just going to lie to people about what you did in the past to try to bury it and hide it, like unto Charles Love Jr., who is also being exposed for his wickedness. You seal up for yourself the same, likewise, condemnation of the devil, where you seek to risk even the very torments and punishments of your soul at the expense of temporary gain. And so even Ringo, as well as Florian Warlow, do similar things, as well as you be instructed in some degree to do after them too, to increase and enhance yourself in this evil person world that's passing away and the desires of it. And you think because of what you see before you is sufficient, when it's only going to take true authentic faith to see what is to come to pass for sure, and to be made known unto the hearer the things that are out the folder, and to know the certainty of his word, his ways, and his truth. In conclusion, those who would hear you need to separate from you, and those who you persecute have to pray against you to put an end to your wickedness, because you're giving up and you can't stop.